Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. I am one of your hosts, Memo, and right beside me, I've got Hoops. How you doing?
What's going on, man? Overall, I've been doing pretty okay, I will say. Just regular life routine and getting through in life really. And overall just nothing too crazy, honestly. How you been?
Honestly, same. Just I haven't really been doing much lately. Just been dying with this heat, as you could probably tell. I look like a mess right now. I'm sweating like crazy, but it is what it is, I guess. I am very excited to talk about this episode, though. We started this, I guess, series last week where we talked about every team's GOAT for the Western Conference. So we're going to continue that this week, but with the Eastern Conference. Do you think this was harder than last week, or do you think it was pretty easy choosing the GOATs for the Eastern Conference teams?
Feel like low key most of the Eastern Conference was probably easier than the Western Conference, honestly. Like
Uh,
Western Conference, I think there were a lot more that I was not confident with. But I feel like a lot of these Eastern Conference ones were pretty straightforward for me.
yeah, I felt like half of it was like, oh, that's easy. It has to be this guy. It has to be this guy. But the other half was actually a bit harder for me. So I guess we'll see, um, like how similar our opinions are. I feel like I have like maybe a couple like controversial picks. I guess we'll see when we get there. See how controversial they actually are. Do you have any? Do you think you have any crazy takes, or do you think it's it makes sense?
I don't think any of them are like that crazy, honestly, but I feel like there's definitely some that's like arguable. Like maybe you can think this player for this reason, or maybe you can think it might have been that player for that reason. But ultimately, yeah, I would say like nothing too crazy, but there are definitely some arguable, like maybe this guy was better than this guy.
All right, makes sense. I guess we could get started with the first franchise. Which team are we starting with today?
I think we're gonna start with the Atlantic Division, which would probably start with, if we're talking alphabetical, they'll probably be starting with the Celtics. And we'll get the most hated team out the way early, shall we say. Hey, first is the worst, remember that.
First is the worst. A reminder, fuck Boston. Well, yeah, let's get started
Boston.
with the Celtics. I feel like there's two answers you could go with. Let's see
There's
if,
definitely a few options. Um,
but yeah, let's see our choices. Like last week, we're doing a slow reveal, so this is the first time we're seeing each other's answers, and we got the same guy. We got
okay.
Larry Bird as our franchise go. So why Larry over Bill Russell, who is probably the number two guy?
Yeah, I agree. Bill Russell, definitely number two guy. Ultimately, though, I think the main reason why I picked Larry was just because, obviously Bill has the rings, but I think Larry was just the better, like, all around player. To start, obviously, now, obviously, he did not have his accolades. Like, obviously, Bill Russell won 11 championships. But I think the one thing is, like, you gotta take into consideration the era that was being played. Um, that's for sure. And I think that like Larry Bird playing in an era that's definitely more physical. Um, overall, he just I don't know. I guess I would say like more impressive in that sense. Um, so obviously he did not have 11 championships. He still had three championships. Two times Finals MVP, 3-time MVP, 12-time All Star, won one All Star game MVP, um, 9-time All NBA first team, and then 3-time NBA All Defensive second team. He won the Rookie of the Year, and he was a 3-time NBA 3-point contest champion, which was definitely pretty impressive there. And then nothing obviously not related to him as a player, but obviously he later on did end up going into coaching, coached the Pacers, and won a Coach of the Year in 1998. Um, and then obviously he then became an executive for the Pacers, and he slightly stepped down from executive to consultant, but still running strong with the Pacers organization. So yeah, honestly, Larry Bird, I think the main reason why I chose him is I feel like the era he played in was definitely tougher. So his accolades were a little bit more impressive to me.
Yeah, that played a huge role not only with this pick for me, but with other teams as well. Like there were other players on other teams that uh, accomplished a good amount, and there's an argument for their go case. But I ultimately chose the player that played in the harder, I guess, era. I guess. All respect to Bill Russell though. Like 11 championships is impressive, even though like the league didn't have a lot of teams and there were like plumbers out there, you know. So, um, although yeah, it wasn't the toughest competition. He wasn't facing prime LeBron. He wasn't facing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You know, um, uh, it's still pretty impressive being able to win 11 of them. You know, like he still had to face Will Chamberlain like basically every year and just whooped him every single time. Basically, that's at least what it seemed like. He's a incredible defensive player as well. Like even during his era, he's like still one of the greatest defenders of all time, and the activism as well. Like although this isn't basketball related, the things he went through as a black man during that time, being so good during a time where like we talk about this now. Boston is racist, you know. They've had a racist
Yeah.
history, and it was especially awful back then when he was playing. Like, there was times where like he would be balling out, and they love him on the court, but once he's outside of the court, they like just hate him, which sucks. Like, imagine living like that. That's insane. So,
Makes no sense,
I
honestly.
always have a lot of respect for Bill Russell, but for the Celtics GOAT, I will go with Larry Bird because he did play for or during a harder era. And, you know, he still accomplished a lot. He won 3 MVPs in a row. That's pretty impressive. I believe that's like the last time that's ever happened is with a player winning 3 MVPs in a row. I believe he was the last person to
I
do
think
it. Um, Obviously won 3 chips, 2 Finals MVP as he went over, 12-time All Star, Hall of Famer. Just accomplished a lot as a Celtics, which is a storied franchise. Like although like Bill Russell did most of the work, you know, and a lot of Celtics fans hang on to those uh, plumber years and make it seem like they're better than the Lakers. They still they still have had a very storied um, history. Whether you talk about the Larry Birds of the world, the Kevin Garnett's, even though he wasn't there for too long, you know, they have had some great players in their organization, but or to me, it's clearly Larry Bird. There's an argument for Bill Russell, but I think Larry Bird is the guy for the Celtics. So I agree with you 100%. Should we move on to the Nets?
Yeah, I think we can now move on to the Nets, who are the second team in the Atlantic Division. Um, I would say Nets had like a few options that could have been argued. Ultimately, I think this would be a good time to
Yeah,
review.
this one's going to be interesting. Okay, we got different answers.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. So who's your guy?
So so I ended up picking Dr. J, Julius Irving, and you picked.
Jason Kidd. So make your argument for Dr. J.
Yeah. So I will say this one was one of them that was a little bit iffy on my part for sure. Both of these guys were great for the Nets. Now, Jason Kidd had the longevity part of the argument. He played for the Nets for 7 years. Dr. J surprisingly only played for the Nets for 3 years. I mean, like you see Dr. J as like an iconic figure in like the afro he rocked really good, and you think of him like as if maybe he played for the Nets longer, but I guess it just wasn't the case. He only played 3 years. But I think that the reason why I really picked him, a lot of it had to do with the fact that he was practically, as mentioned just now, one of the OGs to play for the franchise. And during his time with the Nets, even though it was short, he did win. Okay, so context. He played for the New York Nets. That was before they were New Jersey, before they were Brooklyn. And he technically played for them when they were still in the ABA, not the NBA. So there's more context there. But while in the New York Jets in the ABA, he won two championships for the team. It's 1974, 1976. Both of those years, he also won the ABA playoffs MVP. And then he also won the ABA MVP 3 times for the Nets. And then during that short span, but it was one hell of an accomplished stint, honestly. 4-time All ABA first team, ABA All Defensive first team, ABA All Rookie first team. He was also a 3-time ABA scoring champion, ABA Slam Dunk champion, and then he got his number 32 retired by the Nets. So honestly, even though technically this was before the merger, at the end of the day, it's still the Nets franchise. And hearing what he did in such a short time span, I felt like it was just tough for me not to pick him. So I would say those would be the main reasons why I ended up picking Dr. J over Jason Kidd.
Okay, I definitely like these two names were definitely two people I was thinking about. I was also kind of thinking about Brooke Lopez, as he is somehow their franchise leader in points, in total
Points,
points,
yeah.
which is kind of an interesting fact. But I did go with Jason Kidd. Even though his stint there wasn't the longest, it's still longer than what Julius Irving did, and he was able to go to the finals twice as a Net. Didn't win it all with the Net. Ended up winning a chip with the Mavericks later on in his career, but with the Nets, he was able to take that team to the finals as their best player. He was a multiple time All Star as a New Jersey Net. One, two, three, four, maybe five All Star appearances. He got traded in 2007 2008 season, so I don't know, but basically was an all star during his entire stint as a Net, and then yeah, he has had a very um, great career in general. Like he was a 10-time All Star, 5-time assist champ. He is one of the greatest like defensive guards of all time as well. He could get you a triple double here and there. Um, very great player. I just think, even though I guess Julius Irving, I would say, is the better player overall, I feel like his stint was just too short, even though it was pretty good. I felt like it was too short, and or he didn't go to the finals, right?
Well, Dr. J ended up winning two championships for the Nets, but it was ABA, not NBA. So, like, you could argue that, but then, like, technically, it was still the Nets franchise.
Is it? Like, does the Nets franchise? How many rings does the Nets franchise have?
Well, when you talk about the history, they usually talk about NBA accomplishments over ABA accomplishments,
Okay,
I
yeah, yeah.
think. But we're just talking about like practicality here. When he played for them, he
Mm-hmm.
won those 2 years. So it's definitely like a side considerations for sure factoring in there. Um, but if we're talking about NBA championships,
I know he
like,
won
actually,
one with the Sixers.
they counted it. I
What?
was looking at the page. Nets have two championships, but they're both in the ABA though, not the NBA.
So wouldn't that mean the Pacers have championships as well, since they've had a few ABA chips? Why doesn't it count for the Pacers? That's
I don't
weird.
know. I'm honestly like I'm kind of confused.
I'm
Honestly, I
confused
guess
too.
honestly I could be reading it wrong, low key. I mean, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page right now, and it says championships two, but it says ABA two, NBA zero. So,
Mm.
um, I don't know how exactly they count that. But yeah, Dr. J won an NBA championship. 1983 was the Sixers, and then he won two ABA championships with the Nets. So, I mean, technically, championships, yes. NBA, no.
Okay. So it's like championships with
So,
an asterisk, basically.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I'm on Stat
Pre-merger,
News right now, and it says they have zero championships, two conference
yeah.
titles.
I
So,
guess I guess they technically don't really count, but let's just count it as a half accomplishment,
well, it
honestly.
is an accomplishment under his resume. I'll say, like,
Yeah.
it's definitely uh, an accomplishment worth noting for sure. And an argument for Julius Irving isn't crazy at all. Like, I feel like those two are the guys to think about. Jason Kidd and Julius Irving were the two main uh, players to think about for the Nets. So I guess that's good for Nets talk. Now we'll move on and talk about the New York Knicks, which was very difficult for me at first. It was kind of hard to pick at first for me. All right, so we're going to do the slow review. I'm very curious about your answer. I actually had some tough time picking, but yeah, we have different answers once again. Willis Reed. Oh, I spoiled it, but okay, you have Willis Reed. I have Patrick Ewing. I was debating about this one, and I was really considering Willis Reed. So I'm gonna have you make your argument, and maybe you'll change my mind. But I ultimately did go with Patrick Ewing, so I'll have you go first.
Yeah, so I ended up picking Willis Reed. I would say kind of similar-ish to Dr. J, the fact that he was one of the OGs to play for the franchise. So he played for the Knicks for 10 seasons from 1964 to 1974 and a two-time champion, 1970, 1973, two-time Finals MVP both those years. He was the NBA MVP in 1970, the same year they won the first championship. Seven-time All-Star, All-Star Game MVP in 1970, All NBA First Team, NBA All Defensive First Team in 1970 as well. 1965 Rookie of the Year. He made the NBA anniversary teams twice on the 50th and the 75th, and he got his number 19 retired by the Knicks. So ultimately, I feel like, quite honestly, his tenure being a pretty good length, 10 years, and the fact that he won two championships for the Knicks was really what um had me pick him over Patrick Ewing, honestly. But Patrick Ewing obviously was great for the Knicks also, so he would have been a pretty close second, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah, Wills Reed was for sure my second guy. Um, Especially the story of him. Like, he seemed to be injured in game 7 of the NBA Finals against the Lakers. Went to the locker room. Nobody thought he'd come back, but then he did. I don't think he played that well after, but, like, because he returned, the aura itself basically carried the Knicks into a championship and defeating the Lakers. So, shout out to Willis Reed, but I did choose Patrick Ewing over him. I know he didn't end up winning a chip with the Knicks, but I think he played in the harder era in the 90s, right? For most of his career, he was like an all-star almost every single season that he played. 11-time all-star. He was an all-star his rookie year, which is crazy. Um, and the counting stats, he got it for the Knicks. Like, he leads the Knicks for total points with 23,665. He leads them in rebounds, 10,759 as well. Um, Spent most of his career with the Knicks. He did have a stint with Seattle and Orlando, which was kind of weird, but uh, most of his career was with the Knicks. He was a 7-time All Star, Rookie of the Year, 3-time All Defensive. So, because he stayed for a long time with the Knicks, and because of, like, he was an All Star basically every year with them, because he has all these counting stats as well, and he played in the harder era, in my opinion, I decided to go with Patrick Ewing. But I was like this close to going with Willis Reed. Um, and maybe I should have, because like he won an MVP too, right? Like Willis Reed. Patrick
Yeah.
Ewing didn't do that. He didn't win a finals, obviously. Um, so it's a toss up, I guess. But I'm just gonna go with Patrick Ewing. So, uh, yeah, I wonder what like New Yorkers think. I wonder who they think is the go. Uh, I feel like
I feel like it depends on the age, like the
yeah,
age demographic.
that's true. That's true.
I feel like the majority of the young heads don't know as much about Willis Reed because he was from the 60s to 70s.
They probably would say
And versus
Brunson for taking them to the Eastern Conference Finals this year. And
maybe they'll say Carmelo. I don't know.
Carmelo's a good
Um,
shout. Like, as a bias pick, as a one that I enjoyed watching growing up, it's for sure Melo. But obviously, he's not
yeah,
the Knicks GOAT. Never even went to the conference finals.
yeah, which is obviously one of the unfortunate, I guess, barriers that practically gets in the way of him being potentially in the conversation. Which obviously there is still an argument. It's just that that kind of has like a little bit of a, what should we call it?
It
I
just like
guess
hinder
if
his like chances of
yeah, I
being
was
the
was
GOAT.
about to say like target on his back, but that's not necessarily an accurate term. I would just say like yeah, diminishes his conversation argument, shall we say. But yeah, honestly, I think that at the end of the day, it would be definitely be between Willis Reed and Patrick Ewing, the top two arguments for sure.
All right, I guess we can move on to the next team, the Philadelphia 76ers. Um, okay, we'll slow review this one. Definitely curious who you ended up choosing. Okay, okay, you went with the I. Well, I guess they're both the cool answer, but you went with the cooler answer. So you actually went with the answer, Allen Iverson.
Yeah, The answer, Allen Iverson. And I'm gonna mention this. I almost picked Wilt Chamberlain, but then I saw that he didn't play for the Sixers very long.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess that's kind of similar to the fact that Dr. J didn't really play for the Nets that long. But yeah, I ended up going with Allen Iverson. And I think that could be a good segue to who Memo picked.
which is Dr. J. I chose Dr. J. Um,
Okay,
but yeah, you go
not bad.
first.
So yeah, I'll go over my pick first. So as mentioned, I was really close to picking Will Chamberlain. I felt like he had a pretty impressive stint with the Sixers and in general NBA stint. We all know about that. But the reason why I ultimately went with Allen Iverson, a lot of it had to do with playing for the franchise for a pretty good stint. I mean, he played for the Sixers for 10 years. Unfortunately, he did not win a championship with them. Made one time finals appearance, but bumped into Kobe and Shaq. Won game one, lost four in a row. But yeah, 2001 MVP. He is an 11-time NBA All-Star, two-time All-Star, AIM MVP, and three-time All NBA First Team. He was the Rookie of the Year in 1997, four-time NBA scoring champion, which were always the Sixers, by the way. He was a three-time NBA steals leader, once again, always the Sixers, NBA 75th anniversary team, and he got his number three retired by the Sixers. So ultimately, I feel like his longevity and all of his stat accomplishments for the Sixers really pushed him over the top. And that's why I picked Allen Iverson as the Sixers all-time GOAT.
Okay. I was thinking about Iverson for sure, but I did end up choosing Julius Irving, Dr. J, as my representative for Philadelphia. He spent most of his career with Philly. It seems like, yeah, all of his, I guess, NBA career, is it? I'm looking at Basketball Reference right now. But yeah, just impressive career overall. Like, he was an all-star every single year when he was playing. Um, did win a championship with the 76ers. Uh, which, how many chips did the Sixers win? That's what I'm trying to look up right now, not gonna lie, because it says 3 on uh, Stat News, but I don't remember the other like Philly teams that won chips, because if Julius Irving only won once, Allen Iverson's era never won any. For sure the Joel Embiid era didn't. So I'm trying to remember, or are they using like ABA stats? I'm not sure.
All right, so I think to answer your question, the Sixers won one of their championships with Wilt Chamberlain.
Oh, okay.
But I
Okay,
don't
that's
but I
what I
don't
was forgetting.
yeah. I don't know who the third one was with.
Well, that would be actually. Well, okay, they won a chip
You
in
said they won three, right?
1982-83. Was that the Julius Irving year?
I think 83 was the Julius Irving
Yeah,
year,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. So that was the last time they won a chip. They won as a Syracuse Nationals, 1954,
Oh, okay.
1955. Who?
Okay, then that explains why we didn't know then.
Oh, okay. With Dolph Shays leading the team.
Oh yeah, Dolph. Oh, okay, Dolph Shays got it.
Okay, yeah.
So it was way back then.
That's irrelevant. Julius Irving was able to win a chip during a harder era in the 80s. So that is basically the biggest reason why I chose him, because he was able to win a chip. I know Iverson made the finals, which is impressive, but did get, you know, did have to face the Lakers with prime Shaq and Kobe, so that sucks for him. But yeah, and the fact that like at least during his NBA stint, he was a Sixer his entire career. When you think about it like that, so that's also another reason why I chose Julius Irving. Um, but yeah, either pick is not bad in my opinion.
Yeah, honestly, I agree. I feel like you can make a point for either guy being very much a good candidate for being the GOAT for the Sixers. So honestly, I thought that this was a very close toss up, in my opinion.
Yeah, close to us up. We can move on to the Raptors now. I feel like this one maybe is controversial, a controversial pick from me, but I've also talked about my opinions on the Raptors GOAT. So if you've seen the podcast, you should know my pick. But yeah, let's see. Okay, we once again have different picks. Who did you go with?
Yeah, I ended up going with Kyle Lowry
And
for Raptors.
I went with Vince Carter as my pick, which is I guess one of my more controversial picks for this episode. I'll have you go first before talking about why I don't think Kyle Lowry's the GOAT.
Now, I must say this, okay? I do not think that Kyle Lowry is the most talented Raptor of all time. But the reason why I ended up picking him as the Raptors GOAT is because for one, he did play for them for a good amount of time. He played in Toronto for 9 years, or technically 8.5, because he was traded at the deadline in 2020, 2021, the COVID season. Um, Ultimately, I picked him because one, longevity, two, he was a part of the Raptors team that won their first championship in Toronto. Um, Vince Carter, I think, is by far like the more talented player overall. I mean, if you're talking about like most talented player, then you could even argue like so many other guys. Like honestly, like DeMar DeRozan probably would be like the more talented player, but he was also unfortunately not a Raptor as long. Kawhi Leonard, obviously as talented as he is, was also part of the championship team. He only played 1 year there. So honestly, for this, I picked it more so on like the the tenure than like the star power. Like Kyle Lowry as a Raptor, I already mentioned winning the first championship as a team. Also, with the Raptors, he made 6 All-Star appearances. All 6 in his career were in Toronto, so that's pretty good there. And then, ever since he got traded away from the Raptors, he's still been pretty good on some years, but just not quite the same. But point blank, I think the main reason why I ended up picking Kyle Lowry is because of the time length and the fact that he was a part of the first championship team as one of the franchise vets. So yeah, this one was not as much based on the star power of the player, more so about the time with the team.
And I think that's very valid, but to me it bothers me so much uh saying like a lot of people would consider Kyle Lowry the GOAT, but I find it so weird like having him as a GOAT when he was like never the best Raptor on the floor in his tenure. Like I felt like DeMar DeRozan was the better Raptor when they were together, and they obviously couldn't win a ring because of like the constant choking. So when Kawhi came to town, it obviously became his team, and they ended up winning a chip with his single season in Toronto. So Yeah, I just find it weird saying that Kyle Lowry is the franchise GOAT when like he needed Kawhi to get his ring, and then when he was with DeMar was the guy in my opinion, during their tenure. So he was always number two. So how could he be number one all time if he was always the sidekick in my opinion? I went with Vince Carter, even though I know that's a hot take because like how he left isn't the greatest and his tenure wasn't, you know, super memorable. He didn't win anything as a Raptor. What he did do though was put Toronto on the map, with his electric play style, with his high flying dunks, with the most iconic dunk contest of all time. He put the Raptors on the map. Nobody took them seriously until he got there. And yeah, like they didn't win anything with him there, but the uh, Raptors became more legitimate, became more legit, I guess. uh, once he started playing for them and was being an all-star like almost every year he was there, and being like the coolest guy in the NBA. Basically, I'm saying he is the GOAT based off of aura alone. He doesn't have the counting stats, he doesn't have the chips, he doesn't have the years, but he did make that franchise what it is today. People are so nostalgic over the little like Raptor dunking the ball jersey or the purple jersey, the logo in general as well. It nobody or maybe people would be nostalgic if Vince Carter wasn't there. But I feel like a big reason why that is so nostalgic and the reason why people love that era and the I guess the uniforms and the logos is because of Vince Carter. So that's why I'm going with him. Again, not the most talented player either. Like if we're talking about the most, like the best player to ever play for the Raptors, I think it'd be Kawhi. I think Kawhi is one of the greatest basketball players ever. He is probably the greatest basketball player to never win MVP, in my opinion. And that run with Toronto is one of the greatest runs of all time. So if I could, I would put him as the Toronto GOAT, but he was there only one season, so if it would feel weird to do that. So yeah, I went with Vince Carter. Let us know who was right on this one. Hoops with Kyle Lowry or me with Vince Carter. I'm very curious on what other people say.
Yeah. And let me say this once again, like I think that like Vince Carter was clearly the better player for sure. Um and this was honestly like one of the tougher ones from the Eastern Conference for me because like one of the main things I was really factoring was picking between the player that was better or the player that like did more for the franchise. And at the end of the day, I just went with the guy that I felt like did more for the franchise. But this was definitely a little bit difficult for sure. Um, like in my heart, I think that Vince Carter is the greatest Toronto Raptor because he literally, as you said, put them on the map. But yeah, this was a tough one for me. I just ultimately went with a guy that like practically did more for the franchise, I guess. But it was challenging.
And that's very fair.
So in the beginning, yes, in the beginning, when you asked me like, do I think I had any controversial ones? I think this is one of them, to be honest.
I feel like a lot of people would say Kyle Lowry though.
Yeah. Honestly, I would say like not as much controversial, more so like not confident, I guess would be
Okay,
the real way
yeah.
to say it.
I'm confident about my answer, but I know it's probably not the correct answer. Uh, uh,
Yeah.
okay, the next one should be very easy. We got the Bulls. I wonder.
Very, very. There's only one right answer for this one.
Oh yeah, it's clear as day. You know, it's clear
Unless you're
as
talking
glass.
Unless you're talking to Scottie Pippen, then maybe he will say something
Yeah.
else.
It's obviously 3, 2, 1. Josh Gid. No, it's Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan
Yeah.
is clearly
Michael J. Jordan,
the greatest
the
Bulls player of all time, debatably the greatest basketball player of all time. Why is he the GOAT for the Bulls? As if we need to explain.
honestly, like, even if he didn't look at the stats, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Um, Six-time NBA champion, responsible for all of the championships for the Bulls, two times three-peating. Um, Obviously, after the first three-peat, MJ retired for the first time, and the Bulls were just like not the same team. Clearly, not even close once he retired. And then as soon as he comes back, the Bulls the repeat once again. That just shows why he is the GOAT, honestly. I mean, obviously you can argue like who really is like the all-time NBA GOAT. Personally, I still think it's Michael Jordan, honestly. Um, but that's one of the huge reasons. I mean, 6-0 in the NBA Finals, two three-peats. There's really not much more that has to be said. Michael Jordan, obviously, he is the when you think of NBA history, like most iconic players of all time, Michael Jordan easily has to be like number one due to obviously Air Jordan, the sneakers, um, the logo. Obviously, Jordan was his signature shrug, his moves, all that. It's just so easy, honestly. Michael Jordan clearly is the Chicago Bulls and NBA GOAT.
Yeah, it's clear as day. The Bulls weren't really nothing of note before Michael Jordan was there, and they became a poverty franchise when he left. They couldn't do anything since Michael Jordan left the Bulls and retired. Like he is so iconic. Rest in peace to my uncle, but like last year when we were talking about basketball, the only player that he knew that he remembered when he was younger was Michael Jordan. He would talk about Michael Jordan and the Bulls. He would say that that's his favorite team because basically that's the only team he knew because of how impactful Jordan was for this franchise. The fact that he got my uncle what was he? Like late 50s, early 60s, 60-year-old Guatemalan man living in Central America. He knows about Jordan. He knows about the Bulls in a country that's you know filled with a lot of soccer fans. He was a soccer commentator. That's the impact that Jordan has. He is a household name, whether it's because of his time with the Bulls, whether it's because of his shoes. Like he is just that iconic. And yeah, the stats are crazy. Not only for the Bulls, since you know during his tenure he ended up being their franchise leader in points, obviously in rebounds, which kind of shocked me, and assists. He leads the franchise in all three of those stats. And as he said, three-peated twice. No other player was able to do that. He three-peated twice. He three-peated once, let retired so Hakeem could win a couple, and then went back to dominating the league, and three-peated again. Just impressive stuff. And the fact that he's never lost in the finals, like I don't care what LeBron fans say. I'd rather have a guy that goes to the finals and wins every time he's there than a guy that goes to the finals more and just lose. No offense to
I
LeBron
agree.
fans, but like even they like efficiency. So why don't we care about efficiency in the finals? So um, yeah, I'm going with Jordan. Obviously, like as if there was any other option. Who would be the second greatest uh, Bulls? Would it be Scottie Pippen, or is there an argument for Derrick Rose?
I would say, honestly, I feel like the problem with Derrick Rose is if we're talking about like talent, I would argue more talented Derrick Rose than Scottie Pippen. But it's just so unfortunate that his prime got cut short like that due to injury. So because of that, I would probably go Scottie Pippen 2 and then maybe Derrick Rose 3. But
I feel like that's
the
fair.
the what ifs are just like really frustrating because my Derrick Rose would have easily been
Hmm.
the clear cut number 2 if not for injuries ruining his career. So yeah, I would say probably Scottie Pippen 2 and then Derrick Rose 3.
Scottie Pippen was an incredible player, though. Like I know, his ego might think he's better than Jordan, but he was like incredible, two-way force, like both offensively and defensively. He was a monster. So like, yeah, he wasn't just a psychic. You could debate that it was a 1A 1B situation, but obviously Jordan's the guy. So.
Obviously. But yeah, and it's unfortunate that obviously the two have been having like their problems lately, but yeah, none of that really denies how great both of them were for the Bulls. But at the end of the day, obviously Michael Jordan is clear cut number one. Scottie Pippen is probably the number two, and then Derrick Rose is probably the number three.
Yeah, so that one was easy. The next one is gonna be just as easy. It's for the Cleveland Cavaliers. This
And there is
there is one
only one answer
one
once
answer.
again,
LeBron
and that
James.
is easily LeBron James. Yep. And there's really not much. Once again, pretty self-explanatory. Um, LeBron won the Cavs their one and only championship in history. Um, Before LeBron, the Cavs had like years of like showing flashes and talent. I mean, dating back Mark Price, Brad Daugherty, those guys. But, you look at like ever since LeBron has joined the team, when he was on the Cavs, they would make the playoffs and usually get like at least a second round, sometimes the conference finals, and then one finals appearance his first stint. As soon as he leaves, the Cavs are immediately one of the worst teams in the league. And then he goes to Miami. And then he goes back to Cleveland and they're immediately one of the best teams again and makes the finals every single year he was there the second stint. And then as soon as he leaves again to the Lakers, once again, Cavs become one of the worst teams in the league. Until finally Donovan Mitchell arrived, and now the Cavs are once again playoff contenders. But at the moment, haven't really shown to be real championship contenders because of the playoff disappointment. My point being is that LeBron James is literally the Cleveland Cavaliers face of their franchise historically. And like there's always like those memes about like Cleveland's economy literally depends on LeBron. Without him, like they're irrelevant. So like, come on now. That just shows how much of importance LeBron is the face of the Cavs and Cleveland as a city. So easily LeBron James the GOAT for the Cleveland Cavaliers. You could argue NBA GOAT, but I'm still sticking with Jordan there. But easily the Cavs GOAT.
Yeah, easily. Like as you said, the Cavs were irrelevant basically their entire existence except for when LeBron played, and I guess last year when the Cavs were really good and were the first seed. Other than that, like it was, they were a poverty franchise for so long. Uh, but uh, the chosen one came through. LeBron James from Ohio went to Cleveland, so perfect match made in heaven there. And yeah, although jumped around a bit, did spend a total of 11 years in Cleveland, won 2 MVPs as a Cavalier. Um, how many times did he go to the finals as a Cav? Is it
He went with 5 times, I believe. One time the first stint in 2007, and then during his second stint, those 4 years, made it every time. All against the Warriors, obviously. So five total.
so?
One against the Spurs, four against the Warriors.
And that's like every single time the Cavs have ever been to the finals, right? Like they've never went to the finals before LeBron, right?
I don't think so.
I feel like it's safe to say that the only time the Cavs have been to the finals is when LeBron has played for them. And although they
Yeah, I think so.
lost most of the time, they did win the one, which was done in crazy fashion. We talked about this last week. How we
Yeah, 3-1 comeback.
we saw the 3-1 comeback, and we were super impressed with LeBron. And we were talking
Yeah,
about this during our breaks in high school. So uh, yeah.
crazy.
Although I wouldn't say LeBron's the GOAT. He has had an impressive career, obviously, and his career with Cleveland was great. He had a great stint with the Cavs, both stints. More specifically, his second stint, obviously, when he was able to build that super team. Hey yo, okay, but yeah, still his first stint was pretty impressive. That's when he won those 2 MVPs. And was able to carry some trash teams to the finals, or to the playoffs, either or. So yeah, pretty good, pretty good. This was definitely the choice for Cleveland. Now let's move on. What's the next team? Well, let's see.
It would be the Detroit Pistons.
I feel like this one should be
Um,
easy.
yeah, it's a no-brainer. And so revealing the options now.
Yep, Isaiah
And yeah,
Thomas.
it's easily Isaiah Thomas. And yeah, pretty much thing about I Isaiah Thomas, he played 13 years with the Pistons, drafted second overall in 1981. He won 2 championships with the Pistons, 1989 and 1990, back to back. He was the 1990 NBA Finals MVP, 12-time All-Star, 2-time All-Star MVP. He was on the NBA All-Rookie First Team in 1982. He was the NBA Assist Leader in 1985. He made both the 50th and 75th anniversary teams, and he ended up getting his number 11 retired by the Pistons. And on top of that, his collegiate career was pretty decent too. So, yeah, Isaiah Thomas is easily, undeniably the GOAT of the Detroit Pistons.
Oh, for sure. Like he is a Pistons lifer. Was basically an all star almost every single year of his career, including his rookie year, which is pretty cool. Was able to win 2 chips with the Pistons as well. Um, the leader of the Bad Boy Pistons, very iconic era for the Pistons. It kind of has had some legs. There was, even though Isaiah Thomas hasn't played in decades, obviously, there's been other iterations of the Pistons that, has had that like tough, rugged energy to them. Whether you talk about players playing for them like Ben Wallace, uh, stuff like that. So yeah, I think this was the easy choice. One of the greatest players of all time, obviously. He's had such a incredible career, and the fact that he was able to have that career and all within Detroit, all with the Pistons is pretty good. I guess, Chauncey Billups deserves that shout, was able to win a ring for the Pistons, was the finals MVP just for shits and giggles, Andre Drummond, rebound maniac. I was definitely rooting for him those few years he was an all star. But yeah, it's obviously Isaiah Thomas. He leads the franchise in total points, total assists. Um, those rivalries with Jordan was pretty cool as well. You know, they're still going at it today. They're still like barking at each other. So, yeah, I think this one was easy. The Pistons. I'm not for the Pistons. Isaiah Thomas.
Yep. Pretty easy, and I agree with practically everything you said. So I think we can probably move on to the next team now, which would be the Indiana Pacers.
Yep.
And I feel like this one is practically another one that shouldn't be too difficult.
Yeah, we've had a long streak of easy picks, but let's see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have. And looks like we agree.
Mm-hmm.
GOAT for the Pacers is clearly Reggie Miller.
Reggie Miller. Yep.
And yeah, what can we say? 1987, 11th overall pick from the Pacers. Played his entire career in Indiana, 18 years strong. He was a five-time NBA All-Star, three-time All-NBA third team, NBA 75th anniversary team. He got his number 31 retired by the Pacers. And then obviously went to UCLA, had a great 4-year run there, and had his number retired there also. So yeah, Reggie Miller. Like when you think of the Pacers all time, you easily think of Reggie Miller first. I mean, Pacers have had other good players throughout the years. Obviously, Paul George was good there. Um, Tyrese Halliburton's doing his thing now. Um, Other players there, they have had some good ones. Jermaine O'Neal, but like easily the best player is Reggie Miller. And not only did he have a longevity, great long 18-year stint with them, even though unfortunately he did not win no championship with them, he did make a finals in 2000 when they bumped into the Lakers and ended up losing against us in 6 games. But his accomplishments for the team speak for itself. Franchise leader in a lot of categories. So, yeah, I think Reggie Miller is the clear-cut GOAT for the Pacers.
Yeah, maybe this will change in a few years. Maybe Tyrese Halliburton will win a chip with the Pacers and have a nice long stint with them. But it has to be Reggie. Like he is a uh, Pacers lifer. He loves the Pacers, right? Just seeing him during the NBA Finals, repping his teammates' jerseys every game, rooting for the Pacers, rooting for Tyrese Halliburton. He loves the franchise. The franchise loves him. He, was really good. I was surprised he was only a five-time All Star. Now looking through it, but he's still an amazing player. He was one of the best, or he is one of the best 3-point shooters in NBA history. He's up there in the all time rankings. Um, he's a Hall of Famer for a reason. This guy is an incredible player. Too bad he didn't win that ring, but still, he had a nice long stint with the Pacers. 18 years is pretty impressive. So shout out to Reggie Miller for his great career with the Pacers. Let's now move on to the Bucks. I feel like this one maybe we have different answers. Maybe we have different answers. We'll see.
Yeah, and I will say the thing about this is like it ultimately came down to two, and both of
Mhm.
them did great things for the franchise. But without further ado, time to reveal.
Oh, we do have different
Okay, we do have
answers.
different answers. So, so for me, I ended up picking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
And
and for Memo,
I
I ended up
ch-
picking
I chose Giannis Antetokounmpo. So, you want to go first and argue for Kareem?
All right, I'll do that. So, this was a tough decision for sure. Both guys have accomplished great things for the Bucks. Um, so for Kareem, he is a six-time NBA championship, having won one was the Bucks. Um, two-time NBA Finals MVP, one was the Bucks. He was also a six-time NBA MVP, three was the Bucks. A 19-time NBA All-Star, crazy impressive, and he made it with the Bucks every single year he played for them. All NBA first team on several occasions, and then he was also NBA Rookie of the Year 1970, NBA All Rookie First Team 1970, two-time NBA scoring champion in 1971 and 72, both with the Bucks, and he was a four-time NBA blocks leader, made the anniversary teams three times, 35th, 50th, and 75th. He got his number 33 retired from both the Bucks and the Lakers. And then his collegiate career was amazing as well. Three-time NCAA championship at UCLA and three-time National College Player of the Year at UCLA. So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, obviously one of the NBA GOATs of all time, and his Bucks career, even though not necessarily the longest, was also amazing. So this was definitely a tough decision for me because both him and Giannis did a lot of great things. Ultimately, I ended up picking Kareem because I would say I would say the good term would be he put the Bucks on the map. And like before him, I'm not so sure the Bucks were really that relevant much long for their time. So yeah, this is a tough decision, but ultimately I went with Kareem.
Yeah, I feel like if we were talking about just players in general, I think Kareem is obviously the better player. But I feel like Giannis has to be the answer for the best Buck of all time, the Bucks GOAT. The fact that he was there double the length that Kareem was there. Kareem was there for 6 seasons. Giannis was there for 12 seasons. So that is probably the biggest why I ended up choosing Giannis. That and the fact that they've had like similar accomplishments over the years. He said that Kareem won 3 MVPs during his stint with the Bucks. Giannis won two, so that's not too bad. I think was it two DPOYs for Giannis? I'm trying to check. Or I think just one actually. One DPOY the same year that he won one of the MVPs, which is very hard to do. Won a Most Improved Player of the Year, nighttime All NBA, won a chip just like Kareem. Um, 5-time All Defensive Team for him. 9-time All Star. He's in the NBA 75th anniversary team. He's a two-way force. So I feel like accomplishment wise, they're very similar, but longevity, Giannis has it by a landslide, and because of that, his counting stats is a lot better as well for the franchise. He is the franchise leader in points, in rebounds, in assists. So there is definitely an argument to be made for Kareem, but to me, I think it has to go to Giannis. I think Giannis is the Bucks' GOAT.
Okay, and honestly, not mad about it because I was like so back and forth, honestly, like picking between the two. It was definitely a challenging one to pick. I feel like definitely the time of length here is a very reasonable reason for picking Giannis, honestly. So yeah, I feel like probably like talking about the overall players was where I ended up picking Kareem because like both of them won one championship each. So then ultimately I probably thought like this guy is probably slightly better overall player. But you mentioning the time of length is definitely very valid as well.
All right, sounds good. Um, yeah, is it a crazy take that even though Kareem could be debated that he is a top three basketball player of all time, that I don't have him as a goat for either the Lakers or the Bucks? Is that
I
crazy to
mean,
say?
it's definitely a little bit of a it's a little bit crazy, but then it's like when you compare him to the other candidate, then it might just be kind of reasonable, honestly. But yeah, if you think about it, like the fact that he's possibly a top three GOAT candidate, from that perspective, it's definitely crazy for sure.
You guys let me know, but we'll move on to the Atlanta Hawks. I feel like there's an argument for two guys. I ended up choosing a guy, obviously.
Hey guy, yeah,
Let's reveal. Okay, and we chose
and
the
it looks
same
like
guy.
same guy, yeah. That being Dominic Wilkins. So, when we talk about Dominic Wilkins, he was the third overall pick, originally drafted by the Jazz, then traded to the Hawks on draft night. He played 12 years for the Hawks. He was a 9-time All Star, always the Hawks, All NBA first team his rookie year. I mean, no, not rookie year. In 1986. And then he was an All NBA first team for All Rookie first team 1983, NBA scoring champion in 1986, two-time NBA dunk contest champion in 1985 and 1990. He made the NBA 75th anniversary team and he has his number 21 jersey retired by the Hawks. So ultimately, I felt like his longevity, 12 years as the Hawks, was a very great factor here for why he was chosen as a GOAT. And the other thing was, yeah, accolades. Honestly, like what I mentioned, mighty impressive. So this is why I ended up picking Dominic Wilkins as the Atlanta Hawks all-time GOAT.
Yeah, that's basically the reason why I chose him as well. There was an argument for Bob Pettit. I don't know if you were thinking about him, but he was like the leader of the Hawks when they won their one and only chip. That was in 1958 though, so because Dominique
Crazy, yeah.
played in the better and harder era, that's also a big reason why I chose him. Like, yeah, he's had a great long career with the Hawks. He was there the whole time, right? His entire career. Double
Um, he
checking.
played. He
Oh,
played with a few other teams,
he was a Clipper.
but yeah, for 1 year.
What? I did
You know,
not
he was a
know that.
Celtic too. He was a Celtic.
What?
He was a Spur. He was a Magic. I will admit, I didn't know about the Spurs and the Magic part. I knew about the Clippers and the Celtics part, though.
What? And he was like balling too. Looks like eight,
Yeah,
18 points per game as a Spurs, 17.8 as a Celtic, 29.1 points as a Clipper in the
yeah.
90s. How
He
did I
was
not know
good.
that?
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, like the fact that he played for all those I didn't know that he played for like four other teams. I knew he played for two other teams, but like, damn, yeah.
That's
That just
insane.
shows like how good this guy really was. I mean, those stats that you mentioned on those secondary teams,
And nobody
say less.
thinks about
I
him.
think he is. the clear cut ox goat at the very least.
Yeah. Wow, that just blew my mind. It's like when I found out Patrick Ewing was a Magic for the first time.
Yeah, I know. It's funny.
That's crazy. Or when Tracy McGrady was a Spur. I think I might. Did we do a
Well,
mini game on that? And
we did, yeah.
I
And I think I remember you chose Tracy McGrady as the player for me to guess, and you thought that he
oh,
never made it. You and then
I
one of
forgot
the
to
things
put
you
the
mentioned,
Spurs logo because I
yeah,
forgot he
because
played
I
for the
remember, yeah,
Spurs.
I remember that. So that's why I was like all thrown off
Yeah, I
because I'm like,
remember.
this guy plays for the Spurs. Is that T Mac? Let me just guess it. And it's like, oh yeah, it was T Mac. You forgot he played for the Spurs. It happens, but yeah. There's
That's
definitely like those players that you just forget they played for like some team because it was just a tail end of their career or some for something. But yeah, learning something new every day.
yeah. I guess he was there for half a season with the Clippers. He got traded,
Oh,
but
I actually didn't know that he was only there for half a season, but
impressive half though.
yeah, I mean it's understandable that he left after half a season because the Clippers were that damn garbage.
Yeah. Speaking of garbage, let's talk about the Hornets. Uh, and their franchise go. I actually like their franchise go. Let's see if we have the same answer. Before I
Yeah,
talk about him.
there's definitely different options you could pick.
Oh, okay.
And it looks like we did indeed pick different players.
We did. So I went
So
with Kemba Walker, and you went with.
Larry Johnson. And I decided to go like a little bit back in time on this one. So Larry Johnson played for the Hornets. So he was the number one overall pick in 1991, drafted by the Hornets. He played 5 years for the Hornets, which is honestly not very long. Matter of fact, he only played 10 years in the NBA. Five for the Hornets, five for the Knicks. He was a two-time All-Star, both with the Hornets, a NBA Rookie of the Year in 1992, All Rookie First Team. He was also NCAA champion at UNLV. Um, but I think the main reason why I picked Larry Johnson here is because he was one of the OGs for the Hornets. Um, Kemba Walker played longer for them, and you can argue he probably did more in hindsight. But honestly, like I ended up picking Larry Johnson due to the fact that he was one of the franchise OGs. Um, I will admit, like for the Hornets, like I didn't really think too much into it because, like as you mentioned, their history is just not good. So I didn't really put too much time and thought into this one, low key. But ultimately, I just ended up picking Larry Johnson because he was one of the franchise OGs. But I can certainly see why Kemba Walker was your pick because very valid reasons. He played for the franchise longer and he was great for them for sure.
Yeah, you're basically making the argument for me. Yeah, he spent 8 years with Charlotte. Um, he was a All Star three times with Charlotte, one time with the Celtics. Kind of forgot about that. He leads the franchise in total points with 12,009 points. So, I think let me double check. He was an All NBA player as well in the 2018-2019 season. Two times Sportsmanship Award. Shout out to Kemba for being a friendly teammate. Um, yeah, because he played longer there, because he is the leader in total points for Charlotte, the fact that he has more All Stars than Larry Johnson for during his tenure with the Hornets. I think those are all reasons why I believe he's better than Larry Johnson as a Hornet.
Okay. Honestly, very fair, valid points. So not too much for me to say there. Honestly, I could definitely see why Kemba would be the pick.
Okay, we can move on to the
Yeah,
Heat. This one is pretty easy, I think.
yeah, I agree.
Okay.
And that would be Dwayne Wade.
Yup.
Yep. And yeah, really speaks for itself. Like, once again, if you want to talk about like players' peaks per se, then maybe you might have a different answer. I mean, like, if you're talking about the big three, then you could say, oh, LeBron was the number one guy, D Wade was the number two guy. The fact of the matter is, LeBron just did not play for the Heat long enough. He only played 4 years in Miami. D Wade ended up playing 14 years in Miami. Drafted by the Heat, fifth overall in 2003. He played there. He won three championships with the Heat, 2006, 12, and 13. In 2006, he helped win the Heat their first championship in franchise history with Shaq, and he was the NBA Finals MVP that year. He was a 13-time NBA All-Star, and he made them all with the Heat. So obviously, he did have he started his career 13 years with the Heat. He went to the Bulls for a year, then he went to the Cavs for half of the season, and then he was traded back to the Heat for the final 1.5 years of his career. But all of his All Star appearances were made with the Heat. Indeed, he made the All NBA first team two times in 2009 2010. He was the NBA scoring championship in 2009, NBA All Rookie first team in 2004. He was selected to the NBA 75th anniversary team, and he has his number three jersey retired by the Heat. So, the words pretty much speak for itself. Dwayne Wade is clearly and obviously the Miami Heat's all time GOAT.
You forgot one more thing. He has one of the ugliest statues of all time.
Oh, yeah.
It
That was crazy disrespect.
definitely deserved a statue, though, with this time as a Heat. You know, he is obviously the GOAT. He was there for every single Heat championship. His tenure was very lengthy, even though he had a break in between. Um, he is the Heat GOAT for sure. And just like the first finals run he had, with Shaq was so iconic. The fact that he was able to lead that team to a chip at such a young age is very, very impressive. So shout out to Dwayne Wade, one of the greatest shooting guards of all time. Obviously, the greatest Heat of all time, in our opinion. But I feel like it's not even close. It's obviously D Wade.
Yeah. It's no debate.
Shout out Udonis Haslem. Why not?
Shout out UD for his also great long stint with the Heat as well. And his mentorship role late.
Oh yeah, 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 for sure. That's all he could do at that time. Uh, didn't he have like a minute in the finals when they went a few years ago before he retired?
He might have. I will
It
admit
was
I
like
didn't really watch a lot of that final series, but I feel like he did play like at least a minute.
I think he was like the oldest player to have minutes in the finals.
I think that is correct.
Okay, let's move on to the Magic. There are two answers you could go with here, in my opinion. And I feel like I chose the controversial pick.
Okay, let's see
I
it.
did. I did. Okay, you go with your answer
Okay.
first.
Okay, so for me, I picked the White Howard for the Magic Scope, and you picked.
I picked Shaq as my Magic GOAT. Um,
Okay,
My opinion could
and
be swayed though.
I will say this. I thought about picking Shaq. I think that if you're talking about like who's the better player in NBA history, it's obvious Shaq was a better player. But if we're talking about the Magic stint itself, I ended up picking Dwight, and here's why. So to start with the background context for Dwight, after his first overall in 2004, he played 8 seasons in Orlando. He was an 8-time NBA All Star with, I believe, 6 of them in Orlando. All NBA first team 5 times, always Orlando. He was the NBA Defensive Player of the Year 3 years in a row from 2009 to 2011, always the Magic. And then 5-time NBA rebounding leader, 2-time NBA blocks leader, both as a Magic, NBA Slam Dunk Contest champion in 2008, and he has a lot of, I think, well, I'm not 100% sure, but I think he still holds a lot of the Magic's franchise records still to this day. So ultimately, the reason why I picked the White over Shaq, despite like both of them kind of having like not the prettiest divorces at the end, and both of them did take the team to a finals appearance. Shaq took them to a finals appearance, lost against the, got smacked by Hakeem, and then Magic. White took them to a championship, very impressive run, wins against the Celtics and the Cavs, powerhouses, but then bumped into the Kobe and the Lakers, and it was just too much at that point. But ultimately, the reason why I picked the White over Shaq is because of the time of length that he played for the franchise. He played double the length that Shaq did, his 8 years compared to Shaq's 4 years. So, despite the ugly divorce at the end, I think the reason why Dwight is the GOAT for the Magic is because of his longevity and his really I would say his explosiveness for sure. I mean, then again you can say the same thing about Shaq. He was really explosive. But I think ultimately the time of length is what I decided to pick Dwight on over Shaq.
I think that's very fair. So I'm changing my mind. I'm going with Dwight Howard. Uh, not gonna lie though, when I chose Shaq originally, I didn't look at like the stats or anything, so I didn't know he only played there for like 4 seasons. But it was like minutes before we were gonna record too, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna stick with Shaq. I have him as the thumbnail as well, so I was like, I'm sticking with Shaq, but it has to be Dwight, dude. Like they've accomplished similar things. They both went to the finals, as you said, but the longevity is there for Dwight, and because of that, his count stats are pretty good. He is the franchise leader in points, in rebounds as well. Um, you know, shout out to Shaq. I kind of feel weird not saying him, and I'm sure he'd be pissed. He'd be pissed at us right now saying
Oh,
that
he would
Dwight
be pissed.
Howard is the better Magic compared to him. But like, other than 4 All-Star appearances and 1 Finals, he really didn't do much. You know, it was when he became a Laker where he became like one of the greatest centers of all time. So, um, I changed my mind. I'm going with Dwight Howard, but I'm not fixing the thumbnail. The thumbnail is good. Clickbait people, I guess.
Hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Um, no one likes clickbaiters, but it catches the views, which is why it is a thing. And we don't do it often. So,
Yeah,
one time I feel like should not hurt too much, hopefully.
I'm a little sneaky with it. I'm the one that's in charge of the thumbnails. So, sometimes I'm sneaky with it. Like sometimes I'll have like especially with the ranking videos, I'll have like Maybe like Luka Doncic as the number one point guard, and then like Steph as like the third point guard. If you like based off of last year's like position rankings, because I feel like a lot of people, at least last year, would have thought that was crazy or something. Um, there's little things like that, like slight little maybe controversial uh, ideas. I'll put it in the thumbnail, but I try to be as unbiased as possible in the actual episode. So that's why I am going with my new pick, Dwight Howard, as the greatest Magic as of all time. Um, all right, we got one more team. We've got the Wizards. I think this is easy. I don't know. The Wizards are the Wizards, so it's nothing crazy. So we're revealing, and yeah, Wes Unseld is the greatest wizard of all time. Shout out to John Wall, but yeah, it's Wes Unseld.
Yeah, and yeah, it's easily Wes Unseld because he to start is one of the OGs for the Wizards, and for context, he was technically not actually a Washington Wizard. He was a Baltimore/Washington Bullet. Before the name change. So he was drafted second overall in 1968 by the Bullets, played 13 years in Washington, and he helped them win a championship. In 1978, he was the Finals MVP, NBA MVP in 1969, five-time NBA All-Star. He was an All-NBA First Team in 1969, NBA Rookie of the Year in 1969, and he was an NBA All-Rookie First Team 1969, NBA Rebounding Leader in 1975. He made the NBA Anniversary Team for the 50th and 75th, and he has his number 41 jersey retired by the Wizards. And after he played for the Wizards, he also ended up coaching the Bullets. After he played for the Bullets, he also ended up coaching the Bullets for a little bit. First as an assistant for a year, and then he also coached as a head coach for 6 years. So, point being is Wes Unseld has literally done like so much for the franchise. He is easily the franchise GOAT for the Washington Bullets/Wizards.
I low key want to change my mind, because how did he win MVP his rookie year, averaging 13.8 points per game? That's crazy. Well, he averaged a lot of rebounds, 18.2. That's crazy, but only 14 points per game to win MVP? That's insane. Imagine that
That is
happening now.
insane. But like who would you pick instead though? You actually want to change your pick? That's another question.
I mean, John Wall would be a cool pick. They probably have
Do you think he actually was a better wizard though?
this a similar amount of All Stars. How many time was John Wall an All Star?
I'm not sure, honestly.
I'll tell you this: he averaged more than 13 points his best season. He was a 5-time All Star. Okay, what was Wes Unseld? 5 or 6?
He was
5-time All Star. Okay.
okay, so matching.
Wes Unseld has a Mickey Mouse MVP. I'm saying that now. Because 14 points a game gets you MVP back then. That's crazy. John Wall stats.
Yeah. Obviously different era, but
Well, I've been consistent about like if you played for the weaker era, I'm not gonna really. Um, what's the word? Praise you as much, I guess. Let's see. I think John Wall won Rookie of the Year. Oh, he was second. He averaged more points
oh yeah,
though. He averaged 16.
he got unlucky due to Blake Griffin missing his
Oh,
real rookie year due to
yeah,
injury.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he was 16 points his rookie year, which is more than Wes Unseld's MVP year. Um, score. He averaged 20 with Houston. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
I actually didn't know that.
So
But
that's
then again, like the Rockets were so bad, like they didn't
yeah,
really have any true like leaders. So I guess John Wall was able to take over for a really bad team.
yeah. He only played 40 games too. I low key want to change my answer to John Wall. Isn't he a
I mean,
crip
it's up
as
to you.
well? Like, uh, um, he was part of all defenses. Like on paper, it's Wes Unseld. Like if you look at his basketball reference compared to John Wall, it's night and day. Like John Wall's is a lot more empty than Wes Unseld. Wes Unseld has a lot. He also won a chip. That gotta count for something. Okay. I guess I won't
Yeah.
change my mind, but 14 points a game to get you MVP is crazy. That's insane. Like how bad were the other players? Who was playing in 1969?
Um, I can't really answer that question even low key.
Oh well, I don't blame you. Um,
Yeah, that was before our time.
Elvin Hayes was averaging 28 points per game in 1969. How did he not win MVP?
What the hell? That's crazy.
Because of the rebounds, I guess. I don't know. Jerry West was in the league. Elgin Baylor is a bucket. Oscar Robertson's in the league. This is insane. Oh my god. Wait. Oh my god. I'm just going off on Wes Unseld. I'm sorry. He might be dead too. So I might be disrespecting a dead guy. But
Well,
like,
unfortunately, he did pass in 2020.
oh, rest in peace.
But we're talking, yeah, but we're talking about basketball stats though, so I
He
wouldn't take it personal
he does
to
even
him as a human being.
he did even lead the league in rebounds per game that season. It was Wilt Chamberlain with 21.1. So he didn't lead the lead in points. He was uh Elvin Hayes averaged 12 more points than him. Wilt Chamberlain averaged 3 more rebounds than him. Oscar Robertson led the league in assists per game. How did he win MVP? How did they like go undefeated or something? I don't know. I'm
Yeah, doubt that.
obviously not, but I gotta stop. I'm going on a weird Wes Unseld hating tangent, and that's disrespectful. Disrespectful.
Yeah.
So, Wes Unseld is the Wizards GOAT, but is he really? You let us know. You let us know. Those are our NBA GOATs for the Eastern Conference. This episode was about the same length as the last one, which is kind of funny. It kind of makes sense. We talked about 15
Yeah. And the
teams.
thing is,
Okay.
like, I feel like it's kind of shocking to me because I feel like we low key went into like more details last time, but I guess not. I mean, we kind of went into a lot of details again.
Yeah, we're just yappers. We're just yappers. That's why we have a podcast. So
Yeah. I
it
mean,
makes
I
sense.
mean, how long did that Wes Unseld rant go for? Like probably at least 5 minutes.
Yeah, I probably
So
extended the podcast 5 minutes more because of my hatred towards Wes Unseld that I just formed right now at this very second. I had no opinion on this guy until now. So, I'm sorry, Wes Unseld. Shout out to you. You're the Wizards GOAT. But yeah, I guess we'll end it
yeah,
here. I kind of feel bad, but it is what it
yeah. I
is.
mean, all of that hate talk only to eventually still rock with him as the GOAT is crazy. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm just talking about how shitty he is, just to be like, oh, by the way, you're the GOAT for the Wizards. That's
Yeah.
so back in it. I feel bad. He's dead too. That's
Yeah.
that's that's messed up. I'm sorry. It's hot here. I'm sweaty. It's late. Let's just end the podcast before I say something else that I regret.
Yeah, honestly.
So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the episode. If you missed the Western Conference GOAT uh, episode, you can check that out. That was last week's episode. We have a very interesting idea for next week's episode, so that should be exciting. Look out for that. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. If you like this episode, make sure you like it. Make sure you comment. If you're on streaming platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, make sure you give us a 5-star rating and review. Check out our socials. I uploaded a couple TikToks this week going over Dame returning to Portland, Bradley Beal being a Clipper. So if that sounds interesting to you, check that out. But Hoops, would you like to say anything before we head out?
Pretty much just mirroring Memo's words. Per usual, if you guys like our content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share. You would not like to miss it. Follow us on all platforms. Um, Make sure you definitely continue to stay tuned because we got, as mentioned, some fun ideas coming up very soon, including next week's video idea. So yeah, once again, thank you guys for the support to our channel. And yeah, make sure to continue to stay tuned and have a great day or evening whenever you guys are watching.
Yeah, but we'll see you all next week. Goodbye.